Hi guys, just a short video from me tonight. If you are, let's move that up a bit so I'm looking at the lens. Thanks for the support so far, and keep on subscribing. I was asked, well, I've had some lovely comments and really appreciated it all. Like I say, just starting out, this is a bit of fun for me. Now, I was messaged the other day by Dave McShane. I think your name's Dave McShane. Sorry if I get it wrong. And he was asking about stuff for newbies, which a lot of the time when you've been messing around with RC for a while, you tend to forget. So I'm going to do quite a basic video tonight. If you've been doing RC for a while, this video is going to be a waste of time you're watching because you're already going to know this stuff. But people don't know, and there's one place to learn, so let's make it real basic. So one of the questions he asked was, why are there different ratings on servos? So here, we've got a 25 kilo servo. What does that mean? Right, well, first off, it's the torque value that this servo will put out. There's different ranges, different torques. Just got to understand what torque is to start with, and once you understand that, it's dead easy. So let's have a look in here. What we got? You've probably heard about people talking with foot-pounds with cars and all this. A torque value is basically the twisting force, right? Now, how it's measured is the length of a lever. When they say foot-pounds, what they mean is, get a ruler ready as well. So this ruler is a foot long. So if you hold it there, they'd be in the pivot point. If you put 1 pound of weight on there, that's how much twisting force is applied at my fingers. So similar with a ratchet, it's what all mechanics use, you know, we're familiar with it. How tight does a bolt have to be? It's got to be X amount of foot-pounds or X amount of whatever. So you know you've got to apply a pound of weight or 10 pounds of weight across a foot, and that's tight enough. So that's how to measure torque. On servos, because everything is so much smaller, a foot-pound is actually quite a lot. So these are measured in kilo centimeters. What that means is, if I stick the servo arm on, if we measured 1 centimeter from the center point of there, which will probably be around about this, very short actually, but let's just say for argument's sake it's at the end, alright? This servo, being 25 kilos, should be able to pick up 25 kilos if we operated it like that. A cheaper servo, not necessarily cheaper, but a servo with less of a rating will pick up less weight. So it depends on the model application you're after. Most bashers and everything go for the strongest available. Me, personally, I use these in everything. They're cheap, they're strong, they're relatively fast. There's another rating on a servo which you need to look at when you're selecting what to have, and that is the speed. The speed is measured in, I think it's normally the time it takes to do 60 degrees, which 60 degrees is going to be, so if we're at 12 o'clock, it's going to be 2 o'clock. So it's the time the servo takes to go from there to about there. And obviously the shorter the time, the faster the servo is. They're the two real things you want to calculate on. Don't know what the speed is on this actually. It's there in the specs somewhere, but yeah, like I say, for most of what I use, they're great. I think I'm going to put a fancy one in the drifter, but again, it's a basic video tonight, so that's the basics of what you need to know. If you've got a, back in the day with the T-Maxes, they weren't great servos. I think they were, I forget what they were now, let's just say they were 6 kilos or something. The go-to back then was the Hi-Tech 645, which was 9 kilos. Wicked servo back in the day, but now they're just rubbish. So yeah, that's the figure you're looking for, and that's why it's there. Next question he mentioned was, what's the difference with 2S, 3S, 4S and all this? Well, it's quite simple. The batteries are normally measured, or they're normally described in how many cells there are. Now it's a little bit confusing because they've put S, and that means it's in series. I'm not going to go into it too deep, but what you need to know is, I've got a 3S and a 4S here. Now if you look at this, being a 3S battery, there's 3 cells, 1, 2, 3, stacked together, whereas a 2S battery is 1, 2, and then we've got a 4S battery being 1, 2, 3, 4. Cells are always, well, again, this is not strictly true, don't read into this too much, the pros out there. This is for, let's just say I'm trying to make a video for anyone to understand. So LiPo cells are 3.7 volts, so you multiply by 3.7 to get the voltage, which is 14.8. Whereas a 3-cell LiPo will be 11.1. The deciding factor of what battery you use is it has to be lower than what the ESC can handle. That will also have a rating on it. As long as you're lower than that, it'll be fine. And the old type batteries were nickel metal hydride, which you'll see these as well. Sometimes you'll see a dual rating on an ESC, and it might be 7 cells NIMH and 2 cells or 2S LiPo. Most people are going towards LiPo these days. These are still around in ready to run models. Not so much now. As for the reason, so like I say, we're only going to go over the basics. So next one, I just thought I'd dig this out for fun, is radios. Now the old school radios had, you probably remember seeing them with the big long aerials, and they had massive receivers like this. That's pretty much gone now. The only thing you'll buy on 27 megahertz now might be a toy, and all that means is the frequency that the radio is operating at, which is 27 million, I think. No, 27,000? Either, I forget my megs and my gigs, but it's, stuff these days is just running at a much higher frequency. As a result, they've managed to get smaller receivers. We're using, we've gone down to this, and even this on 2.4 gigahertz. And instead of having massive aerials anymore, the aerials built in, I think, is in there on this radio. They're quicker, the range is longer, everything's better about them. If you're going to buy an old model off eBay or something, one of the first things I'd probably advise you do is bin the old radio, and these are cheap enough. Not this particular one, but 2.4 gig systems are cheap enough now. Even down to, I can smell burning there with my heater, but it might just be me. So, and the high-end stuff, we're getting down to this small with like 9 channels or 10 channels on this one with S-Bus, but again, too complicated, we're not going to go into that. Let's put that in there. And the next question you asked was brushless and brushed. Now, difficult for me to explain in a short video, but the long and short of it is there's 2 wearable components in this. They don't put out that much power comparatively. Now the ESC would look something like this. 2 wires in, 2 wires out. Connected up, job done. Brushless motors are better, in my opinion. I don't think I've got anything brushed anymore. I might have the Grand Hauler brushed, but I probably will go brushless at some point. And the key is in the name, brushless. So that is the wearable component. It's all other host of things that can go wrong, but the only moving part in a brushless setup is the bearings, which are easily changeable. Now the ESC for a brushless will have 3 wires on it. So that's where people get confused. Do I need an ESC? Do I not need an ESC? Yes, you do. Well, 9 times out of 10 you will, because you cannot run a brushless motor with this ESC, so you'll have to change the ESC as well. Tamiya is a little bit confusing. That's the bit that confuses people, because they're one of the few manufacturers that will do both. I think I got one to hand. Now Tamiya supply these in the kits, and I forget which one. I think you use on a brushed motor. I think you use the blue and yellow, and then if you go over to brushless, you use the 3rd. I haven't seen many like this. This is kind of unique. I never use them. The first thing I do when I open up a new kit is take this out of the box and throw it in my spares box. The only reason I even have this ESC is because I couldn't find the version of the model without it, which I would have paid less for. And that's some basics, but yeah, loving the support, guys. If there's anything you want to know, just drop me a comment. I'll try and cover it. I'll either cover it in a real Billy basic way, or I can go into depth. I'm not going to do videos like this all the time. I'm more about the custom stuff and showing the hows and whys. But yeah, I'm all for answering questions, and I hope that's given some of you a little bit better understanding if you didn't know already. Ciao for now.